So because the BMW i3 is such a high-tech, environmentally friendly electric car, its customer base is typically a younger, more high-tech, more environmentally friendly crowd, right? Early adopters into new technology. So because of that, I figured I would do what those people like to do, which is usually take hikes in nature with selfie sticks. And because I can't really be bothered to take a walk into actual nature, I'm just going to stay here and show you the i3. I even have my, organic, fair trade, Colombian, whatever, coffee. So, let's take a look at the car. So what makes the BMW i3 different from other electric cars? Well, for one thing, how it's made. So instead of a traditional chassis, its entire passenger cell is made up of carbon fiber reinforced plastic. And the plastic used in that is actually made from recycled plastics. And so are the door panels, all the plastics in here, and so are all of the funky cloth materials and all this exposed carbon fiber bits. All of it is made from recycled plastic. And all of that material is developed in a factory in Washington State that's powered by windmills and water mills and all sorts of eco-friendly stuff. And that makes the BMW i3 not only an electric car, but the most environmentally friendly car on the road. Some other benefits of the funky carbon fiber passenger cell and the fact that it's an EV, so there's no transmission hump here or up there, and there's no engine in the front, is it allowed BMW to really carve out a ton of space in this very small car. So even though it's really tiny and really funky looking, it actually has a good amount of interior space. So I'm not a big man. I'm only 5'9"-ish, about 150 pounds. So while I'm not large, I actually do have quite a lot of knee room, some good headroom back here, and it's actually quite cozy. Got a little armrest there. There's no center armrest, but you do have some nice little cup holders there. There's no map pockets or anything in the back here, but so storage-wise, it's not great back here, but it's comfy and cozy, and you can sit back here for hours, really. It's really not a big deal at all. I mean, you can't get 3 adults, though. That's ridiculous. You can only get 4 adults in this car, and I wouldn't even say you can get a child in this middle seat because it's just dominated by these 2 giant cup holders here. So it's really a 4-seater car, but with just 4 people, it's really quite spacious and quite nice. While the back seat space is impressive, what's even more impressive is the trunk. So if you undo these little straps here, you can fold the seats down, and you can actually get quite a bit of space in there. So I can actually climb in here. Oh, all right. This isn't very dignified, but you can kind of fit in here, right? So, yeah, that's about the best I can do. More importantly than interior space and technology, does the i3 drive like a proper BMW? Now the first thing you notice is the regen braking, which actually is really weird and kind of freaks you out at first if you're not used to it. It allows you to really drive using just the accelerator. It's not a gas pedal. So just using the throttle, you can accelerate like such, and then letting off the throttle slows the car down using regen braking. And it really allows one pedal driving, and that's kind of freaky at first. So you can come to a complete stop without ever using the brake pedal, and that really freaks people out who have never seen that before or done that before. However, once you get used to it, at least for me, you really start to like it. Like, I've really become accustomed to it, and I really like it, actually. The next thing you notice is the steering. And while this isn't an M4 or an M2, it actually has pretty good steering, and to be honest, it's one of my favorite steering BMWs because the front end is so light and the steering is so direct that it really makes it a fun little car to toss around. Now, the weighting is a little bit light, but it's an electric car and it's a city car, so I get it. It makes sense. And to be honest, it's not that bad. It could be worse. And there's zero feel. There's no feel at all. However, it's very accurate. So you can really place this car exactly where you want. It's a lot sharper of a driving car than I thought it would be. It's also a faster car than I thought it would be. With all of its electric torque, it's deceptively fast, from 0 to about 50 miles an hour. And that makes it fun to, nip around back streets and city streets, and if you come across the occasional curve or windy road, it actually comes alive a little bit. It's actually pretty fun to drive, which is surprising considering it's a little electric hatchback, but not so surprising when you realize it only weighs like 3,000 pounds and it's rear-wheel drive and has skinny little tires.
But despite its short wheelbase and skinny little tires, it's actually quite a comfortable car, and it isn't even bad to drive around in for long periods of time.
And that's kind of odd because it's so small. You'd think that it's going to be cramped and uncomfortable, but it really isn't. It's spacious and it's airy, and there's a big greenhouse, and the seats are nice, and the driving position is good. You know, it's actually kind of high, almost SUV-like in a sense that you can see a lot of the road. This is actually the lowest the seat goes. So you have a good, high driving position, which is nice for a city car. This isn't a sports car. It's not an M2. You're not supposed to sit down low, hunker down into the car. It's just a comfortable cruiser, and I like that. Well, comfortable around town cruiser.
Now the big news for the 2017 BMW i3 is its new 94 amp hour battery. Now that gives it a total range of about 114 miles, which is significantly higher than the previous pre-refresh car, which only had 81 miles. So it should quell the range anxiety of that car.
I live about 80 miles away from BMW North American headquarters, where I picked this car up. I was able to drive from BMW to my house, get home, eat lunch, go get a haircut, drive around a little bit, and come back and still have like 5 or 6 miles left in the pure electric range. And I drove almost all that way on the highway, where electric cars are the worst. They lose range like crazy on the highway because the faster an electric motor is spinning, the more electricity it uses. It's not like a regular engine where it has gears and a transmission, and it can step up to a high gear and use little fuel. The faster you're going, the more electricity you use. So on the highway, EVs are not very good. But I drove about solid 80 miles on the Garden State Parkway with this thing at around 75 miles an hour, and I was still able to make it home with plenty of extra range.
Now, the model we tested was actually a Rex model, which is the range extender model. So that means it comes with a small gasoline engine under the trunk floor, which can help recharge the battery once it goes flat. But we actually didn't really need it at any time during our test because the 114 miles of range proved more than enough.
But my absolute favorite part of this car, by far and away, is that it actually has a lot of character. And I know that sounds crazy because it's a little electric car that doesn't make a lot of noise. Actually doesn't make any noise, it's completely silent. And it only has 170 horsepower, and it doesn't seem on paper like it would be a really fun, enjoyable car to drive, and then it has a lot of character, but it does. This car really has a lot of personality. And I don't know why. I can't explain it. It's just weird. You have to drive it. It feels like nothing else on the road. It looks like nothing else on the road. And despite the fact that it makes no actual noise because electric motors are silent, I feel like if it did make noise, it would be a funny noise. This is a happy car. It makes me smile. It makes me laugh.
So the new BMW i3 is a proper BMW. It makes you smile, it makes you laugh, and it's genuinely enjoyable to drive. Throw in the fact that it runs on pure electricity and burns no gasoline, and this new one has a range of over 114 miles, and you have the perfect city electric car.